Computer. Okay, perfect. All right, here we are live. So welcome. Hi, Jess. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing so great. I'm excited to have you. You are one of my favorite people in the world,
Aw.
and so I'm glad that we get to
Yay.
have this conversation today. So for those of you listening in, I'm Arian. I'm the founder of Project She Went for Her Dreams. And we recently launched a program called the Mentor Circle, which is a mentoring platform for women of color. So I invited Jessica Perella of JP Design, and a bit more about her work there in a second. But I invited Jessica to be a mentor as part of the Mentor Circle because you'll see why in a second. But she is a super badass that I had the pleasure of knowing and learning from. And I want to offer her to the mentors community so that you can learn from her and you can understand a little bit about her journey, her lessons, her advice, and anything that she has to give to uplift women of color in their journey. So I'm excited to kick off this conversation. So welcome again, Jess.
Thank you. Yes.
We're glad to have you. So let's start off with if you can just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and sort of what brought you to this space.
Sure. Well, it's funny when I say it out loud, but I've been working in like the web space since like the year 2000. I always think of I don't know if you watch Conan O'Brien, but he has that like in the year 2000 bit. I always hear that. That's when I started coding. So like my background is in web design and development, and I'm also an artist. So my journey, was always like, being interested in art. And when I was able to decide what I wanted to do, like I decided to choose a career in graphic design and HTML and web development. It was like something that started around the time, that I went to school and I learned it, and I loved it. I love technology. I love creating something, back then, I mean, it was like blowing my mind. So naturally I went in that direction, and I started as an intern at a nonprofit as a part of their web team, and I grew a lot there. I worked there for 7 years, and at some point I just really wanted to do this for myself. I wanted to have my own clients. I wanted to have artistic freedom and be able to create the rules. So I quit my job, which is really hard to do because I really loved working with the team. But I left and I started my own company, and I rented a small space for one of my clients on Fifth Avenue in 27. He was like so generous, and he let me, rent it out for a small fee monthly, and that's where it all started. I had a friend of mine who joined me as an intern. I had another friend that came on as a project manager, and within a few years we had grown, and I started hiring, and I immediately, started hiring women. And even though, maybe they weren't well versed in the web world, like I trained them, and basically that's been the journey since, growing, hiring women. We are a women-led team here in the city, and we create websites. We do branding. We do brand strategy and social media. So we help people from like start to finish create their brand and create a presence online.
Yes, I love that. I love that. There's so much in this story that you just shared that just jumped out at me. And, there's a couple of pieces there, right? So you latched onto technology really early on in your career. You saw the potential for the expansion of it. And you saw the direction that technology would take us, essentially. So in essence, you're sort of like an early adopter, right? A visionary, a thinker around like, this is the magnitude of what we can do with technology. And I really want to take hold of this. The other piece of that is that you more or less started out in a traditional capacity, right? You worked for a company before you started your own your own company.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us that space in time when
Oh yeah.
decided, right, that, you know what, I see myself building and creating something on my own, and I'm going to actually do this. So I know a lot of us listening to your story can relate to that. We're in that space of like seeing the vision, seeing, you know, how we can take this and develop our own sort of business around our ideas. So take us back to that time where you decided this is what you wanted to do.
Yes. So it was about a year. It took a year for me to decide, from like when I decided I wanted to do my own thing, up until I actually like left. And I didn't know how I was going to do that. I was lucky enough at the time that I started a program, which many of you probably know, called Landmark. And, you know, they had incredible people there, just like people like me, just, you know, have, you know, with a dream, with a goal. And so we were all like each other's support team. And in that support, I created a mantra. And it was a mantra that I said to myself throughout the year. The mantra was, everybody in the world wants to work with me. and you know, I just kept it simple. And I just thought, you know, if I put myself out there, why not? Why wouldn't everyone, you know, anywhere in the world want to work? Because that's like the digital thing, right? So I was lucky to have their support, and I kind of just, I guess my courage grew. Like I had to do a lot of like, you know, it took a long time, and I picked the right time, which was the end of the year. So December 2016, I went into my boss's office and I said, you know, I would like, I don't even know what I said, but, you know, I quit. And he was very unhappy. He actually didn't talk to me for 2 years after that, because we were family, and it was very hard in many ways, but also just the idea of like suddenly having to support myself, not having a full-time job. But luckily, along the way, over the past 2 years before I quit, I was actually creating websites for clients on my own. So I created momentum. I had a portfolio. I had a website. I had my own brand already. I wasn't starting from zero, right? And honestly, I didn't really plan it. It was all just really organic. You know, I didn't think I was going to leave, but I just knew along the way, as I was working at this nonprofit, who did amazing work, like I just needed diversity in my work. So I just naturally I'll go to like a show and I'll ask the musician, hey, can I create your website? Or, you know, I'll meet a chef, or I would meet so many different people. And I was always excited in that, the creation of something new, that working in an industry I didn't know, and creating something for them. So maybe that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and you know, I just want to highlight, you know, the difficulty of making that transition, right? From actually resigning, telling your boss, to the actual like supporting yourself and putting yourself out there, right? And so that mindset of going from, you know, being employed full time to supporting yourself, you know, there's that shift, right? And sort of figuring it out as you go, but all along the way, just again, putting yourself out there, and that's how people get to know your work and understand what you do, and all the while you're building your portfolio as well. So I love that.
Yes. And one other thing that just came to mind, something I knew very clearly, was that I had to commit to this idea of having, you know, choosing to jump, and just trusting that the net would appear. And that was something maybe I didn't realize I was doing, but at some point it was very clear. And I just kept trusting. I just trusted in myself, and I trusted in my vision, and I was committed. I was excited. I was probably equally excited and scared, right? I was just, you know, it was all adrenaline, and there was no looking back.
Right.
I just, there was no doubt in my mind it was going to work. And that was 13 years ago.
Oh my God, that's just that thing. There was no doubt in my mind that it's going to work. And I think it's so important that we, you know, if we have fears, we're naturally going to have fears doing something that we've never done before, but we can still do it, and still do it excited. So, so that fear and that excitement can coexist.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of it, yeah. So I want to shift into, specifically around, what it was like for you as a woman of color to build your business and to grow it, and, the challenges around that, and actually what helped you as a woman of color to build your business. And, we are part of a minority group that is growing in leaps and bounds when it comes to entrepreneurship and business ownership. And we're really, seeing ourselves show up more for just building a vision, building a company, building a business. And I want to hear more from you about what it's been like as a woman of color building your business, and what that's journey been like for you.
Sure, yeah. I would say we would also need to add the element of like just being in a tech space, which is still predominantly male. So like just early on, just even before I started my company, like being in meetings in a room full of like, engineers or tech firms, et cetera, that we were working with at that time, like I really realized that I needed to carve out space for myself to speak and to command attention, because no one would ever really look to you as like you're running the meeting, or like, they would always look to the guys, that obviously look like techies as like, all right, you guys know what you're doing. Like I realized that just took a while for me to realize that. And I think that was one of the reasons why I really enjoyed having my own company, because I wanted to be the leader. I wanted to be the person that was like running that project, or, so I guess I would say that it wasn't something that people just gave you, right? So I think I want to just maybe jump forward to like now, which is the interesting time right now. I think as this is a women-run, women of color run business, and a lot of our clients over the past year have been vocal about working with us for that reason, because more people are choosing to work with women, and they're just being very mindful of like the values of the companies and brands that they're supporting. And we are out there, we show ourselves, we show our work, we're transparent, people know who we are. And on even just in the past few weeks, we've had women just straight out just say like, we want to support a web team that's led by a woman of color. And that's not something I would have heard 13 years ago, even 5 years ago. And it just makes me just so excited. Like I'm getting like all like butter, like chills right now just saying it, because that's new. And it feels good. Like It feels good to be supported in that way, because it's new.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's new to me.
Yeah. And it seems like it's happening so quickly, right?
Yeah.
People being more mindful about the brands that they work with and that they hire, and intentionally seeking out, women-led brands and women of color-led brands, and really using that, as part of their decision making, so
Yes.
Of course it's important to do good work, right? And to be that expert in your field, but also to be seen and to be validated, right? In a way that, just 5 years ago, 3 years ago, there's an invisibility factor, like you were saying before, like you had to really speak up and be that leader and have people see you and address you as such, right? So that's part of sort of the learning curve of, I'm leading this meeting, I am not technically what you're, used to seeing, but you're really just making your presence and being recognized in a way that is just really brilliant to see. Yeah. So why did you decide to be a mentor in the mentor circle?
I mean, there's so many reasons. I think number one is like, if you're starting a business, if you're thinking about starting a business, like I've been there. So I can offer insights. I can offer insights if you're at year 10 or year 5, year 3, because I've been there. And so like, I guess like I have so much experience, and also, the idea of supporting other women of color is just makes me, just so like, I mean, it's such an empowering thing to be able to do. So, I mean, I immediately when you know, invited me, I was so excited, you know, to be a part of it. And if there was times like in my career that if I could just ask someone one question, like it would really help me. It would have like just like a ripple effect in my business. The impact would be tremendous. So I know the value of being able to ask the right person the right question. Sometimes it's just one question, and how much of how, you know, that could just turn things around for someone. So the idea that I could support someone in that way, or through a call like this, I think it makes me happy. Like it's like part of my mission. Along the way, like with my business, I also feel like we're empowering, not just like we're empowering our team. Our team is growing as the business is growing, and like we're empowering our clients who are launching their own thing. So just it's all about supporting each other, and this is what I have to offer. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and I love that. And you know, it's sort of this giving back, right? Like we sort of paved the way, right, in our respective fields and our lessons learned and, you know, our successes, and we want to give back, right? We want to make it accessible for the women and the generations that are coming up behind us that just need that one question answered, that just needs to know that there is someone out there that looks like her, that, you know, has, you know, what she's going through and has been where she wants to be, you know, and being able to have someone who's invested in their success, it just means the world, right? You know, especially now.
exactly. Yeah, sometimes you just need somebody in your corner rooting for you, or you need somebody to give you a little push. Yeah, you want somebody to believe in you, and you know, that's also something that I feel like I'm great at, and I'm great at just supporting and being there, you know, for someone. So yeah.
Love it. So with that said, what would be the greatest advice that you would give someone starting out?
Starting out, well, I guess um, I was like one, but like two. Like I think, you know, definitely you have to believe in yourself, because if you can't, you know, leave your job or spend X amount of money on yourself, nobody else is going to do that. I think that is something to always keep in mind, right? Like even as you're telling people your story and what you're building and what you want to grow, like they're also listening to like how much you're investing in yourself, how much you believe in it. Like you have to be confident, even if you're faking it. And, you know, like you have to sound confident, and you have to believe in it to some degree. And like, just, yeah, I would say push forward if you really believe in an idea, no matter how crazy it is, no matter. Yeah, just like we had a team of all women team in like 2000, by 2009, we were an all women tech team. And that was unheard of in New York City. And we didn't know, like we were, you know, we were just kind of in a little bubble. And it wasn't until people and friends were like, hey, you know, like this one woman was like, I just went to 10 other firms that were all male. And this is crazy. And then she hired us, right? And if I had gotten stuck on that, like if I had thought, well, you know, there's so many, we're never gonna make it, like this is impossible, like,
Right.
you know, maybe I wouldn't have done it, but I didn't really think about it. And I, you know, you just have to, yeah, go big, go crazy.
It's so crazy. And again, like this is a muscle that a lot of us need to stretch and develop, you know, especially if we're not used to being the face of our company, right? Or like really, you know, standing for something that we believe in and doing the work and saying like, here I am, and being our best advocates, you know.
Exactly.
Especially when we're, you know, not used to tooting our own horn or promoting ourselves and things like that. But these are the things that we need to do, and not in an egotistical way, but actually saying like, yeah, I'm kind of a badass at what I do. And, you know, I do
Yeah.
it really well. And, you know, actually telling that story, which I love. Um, so, to kind of wrap things up, what would it be like for a mentee to work with you, right? What would someone come to expect with them working with you as their mentor? What would you say there?
Sure. Well, I would say that when I work with somebody, I'm always like 100% present with you, right? So I'm somebody that's always 100% there when I'm giving you my time. I'm not going to be on my phone, distracted, etc. I think you just kind of have to say that because nowadays, like everyone's like, you know, just thinking about something else. I feel like presence goes a long way, and I will be committed to your success, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there for you and offer any insight I can. I don't hold back, so I'm not going to, you know, maybe not share something because it's a trade secret or, you know, because blah blah blah. I've heard that before from in the past when I was looking for a mentor. You know, and I understand their perspective, but ultimately, like, I want to see you succeed. I'm not somebody that's gonna have a million ideas and just hold them inside. Like, you have to share ideas, you have to share knowledge, and that's how, like, that's the kind of person that I am. That's like my thinking and how I approach things. So that would be like the kind of environment that person would be in.
Love it. Love it. So to be present, not hold back, to share your gifts, to be invested in your mentee's success. I love it. Thank you so much, Jess. I am super thrilled that you are part of the team.
Yes, me too.
Yes, I know that the mentees that you're going to be working with are going to be super, super just transformed by working with you. So I'm excited to have you on.
Yes, thank you. I can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you for this talk today, and we're looking forward to hearing more from you and JPD in the future. Thanks again.
Yes, thank you so much. All right.